Down. They're just getting started. This is SouthCoast Tonight with Chris McCarthy and Marcus Farrow. They've got you covered on all the news of the day, from local issues to politics on both sides of the aisle. This is the place where the movers and shakers come to be heard, to listen, and where they're held accountable. This is SouthCoast Tonight on WBSM.
Where is Keith Olbermann? He went back to the Ivy League. Yeah. So,
actually, I always liked Keith Olbermann.
I did too. I loved his MSNBC show. It's too bad they canned him. Honestly, it was. I thought.
Did he do something wrong? I forget.
I think he donated to candidates.
You know, as a commentator, that doesn't seem like a big deal to me.
I think that was it, though. It might have been they were looking to get rid of him anyway. Yeah, I had heard when he was at ESPN, someone had said,
"Well, he's a very difficult guy to work with." I understand.
Someone said, this was a quote, he didn't burn bridges, he napalmed them. So, and he actually did go back to ESPN. He had a late night show, which I think was in response to something they had at Fox Sports 1. I thought it was pretty good still. I liked it. I liked a lot of his. He had some really biting commentary, which I really enjoy. And I guess that didn't work out either. So.
You know, Marcus, one thing I've learned in life, and I learned it from my father, and you clearly have it as well, be someone who's good to work with.
Yeah.
You don't have to go along. You certainly can speak your mind, but be a person that other people want to work with.
Yeah.
Tim Weisberg, for those of you callers who occasionally feud with him, Tim Weisberg is the hardest working man.
Yeah.
In show business. He really is. He's the easiest guy in the world to work with. He really is. The things that he does at this radio station are incredible. And, of course, he's lucky that the other members of management work with him, want him, encourage him, have given him the latitude to really make decisions. Yeah. But Tim Weisberg is an incredible hard worker, as is my friend Marcus Farrow. Quite frankly, this show would not exist without Marcus Farrow. As you guys know, he's here every night. When I'm recuperating.
I appreciate it.
And he's a hell of a friend, too. We'll fix his politics eventually. Actually, one thing I worry about is that he might change his politics, and then he would be of no use to me anymore.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He'd just be a friend who agrees with me, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
He'd be boring, right?
No, I agree. Yeah, that
sounds occasionally I'll give a book to someone and say, hey, I think you should read this. I don't do that with Marcus because I'm afraid he will.
Right.
And then he'll adopt the ideas, and then he'll be on here out-meing me, right?
Yeah. What did the John Birch Society have? The 100 candles?
100 candles, man.
Yeah.
I will occasionally give away. The one thing I do is I give people Atlas Shrugged. The problem is Marcus is a reader, so if I gave him Atlas Shrugged,
right.
But the problem is then I might lose my shtick, right?
Yeah,
so anyway,
right.
We're happy to have him the way he is. So one thing, Marcus, we're going to talk about Ward 3, but you hit on a point. It's very important. The Republican Party needs new leadership.
They really do. Because otherwise you're not going to get a good candidate because they're not going to, you'd be strapping a suicide vest on. And if you decided to run for statewide office.
And you heard Hank Turgeon, who's an unenrolled voter, but is a traditional guy who would be a Republican. He's unenrolled right now, but he's certainly the kind of voter the Republicans need.
Yeah.
And he's saying it. Mm-hmm. That the Republicans need new leadership or he's not going to be part of the party.
Right.
And that's the danger.
And I'm interested to see the whole interview, but Charlie Baker was on Jake Tapper earlier today, and I've read the excerpts in the column about the interview, and it was basically saying, like, you know, the voters, it's actually something very similar to what Auchincloss had said to me
who used to
last
work
week.
For Baker.
Who used to, to work for Baker, used to campaign for him, is now a Democrat congressman. He said that they basically said the same thing. And what Auchincloss said to me was, the midterms were a rejection of extremism, and the voting results was a rejection of extremism. So, and what Baker said was, people want people that are more like him, right? More like technocratic or pragmatic, rather than ideologues. I don't think, here's the thing with that. I think there's a need for people that are on the ideological flanks of their party.
Yes.
But I think there also needs to be, those people need to have a pragmatic sense of duty to work with just people within their own party, let alone the other party, to try to get stuff done. Bernie Sanders, I think, is the perfect example of that in terms of being both on the far left flank of the party, but he's budget chair because he's learned how to work with people. I think that's what they need.
I will tell you this, Marcus. You mentioned earlier that Bill Keating had left early a dinner with senators to come on the program.
Chris Coons and I forget the other. Chris Coons and Mark Warner.
And what they were talking about is, how do we bridge the gap?
Yeah.
How can our parties work together? How can we work with the moderates on the Republican side? Mm-hmm. I think that both Keating and Auchincloss are really going to have their day in this next Congress.
Yeah.
Because whoever wins, the moderates are going to win.
Yeah.
It's either going to be the Democrats or the Republicans by a hair in the House.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to learn to work together.
It's more likely going to be the Republicans, and in which case I think there is a strong mandate from within the Republican Party to not give Biden an inch. So we'll see how that works out. I'm not confident in their ability to get anything done if Kevin McCarthy has the gavel. Even if Nancy Pelosi still has the gavel, winnowing that vote lead down is, I think, going to be it's going to be difficult.
So I think McCarthy will be able to be reasonable. I think that the problem for McCarthy is probably going to come from his right flank.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes. I know that I was reading in the Hill that the progressives in the Democrat Party are going to try to force the Democrats more to their agenda.
Yeah.
I think if the left does that and the right does that to their respective parties, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
The thing that you already saw that letter from progressives against more Ukrainian aid, and you see that some of the Republicans are against Ukrainian aid.
Yeah.
Guys, we can't retreat into Ukraine and give it to the Russians. We just can't do that as a matter of world politics. Anyway, but before all that comes down, we got something right here. We got Ward 3.
We've got Ward 3. And we've got your phone calls at 508-996-0500. Good evening.
If you want to talk about Ward 3, I'll back off.
What would you want to talk about?
Well, I was just going to go back to talking about the sheriff's election. I was counting my mail-ins like you asked me to a while back, and I noticed that I only got 3 from Sheriff Tom, and I got 8 from, LaRue, okay?
Is that over? So now, is that over... the 8 that you have, is that since the primary in August, or is that since the general election?
I think I got indulged. I really got deluged with it when the election came out.
We got slammed in the general in the last few days. Actually, we've talked about it before. Really effective and excellent direct mail campaign.
Yeah, which maybe Sheriff Tom wasn't able to live up to. I don't know.
He could have prepared.
To give us some perspective too.
Exactly.
Keating, who didn't have to, I got 6 from him.
6. Keating. Really?
Yeah.
It's funny because I got 1.
I got 1.
Well, I'm in New Bedford.
Yeah, you're in New Bedford and you're unenrolled?
No, I'm unenrolled, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Democrat, so you probably count on my vote.
But again, those mailings seem to show something that it might have generated some interest to have people vote for him, that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And
direct mails are integral. They're,
The other thing, I think the step that you guys are trying to make, too, I noticed there's always this public service announcement about participating in a jury. I participated 4 times, okay? Maybe they could put out one, participate in the voting process, too,
Yeah.
Especially around election time. I don't know who does it for you there. I hear them quite often, though. And, get out there and vote. And people have died to give you this responsibility and this right. So, please take advantage of it, that sort of thing, And I think that would help, especially around election time, to get people out there in this area so we can make a difference. The other thing with Keating I wanted to mention, I told you guys a while back that they talked about on OTR the bridges down in the Cape and everything.
Sure. Yes.
And Marianne Marsh is not a friend. We're friends. You 2 guys and me, we're friends. But she's not a friend because she put all the blame on Keating.
Oh, she did.
It was brought up by Rob Gray. Well, how about, you got, he's the Republican guy, for those who don't know. How about, your senators, Markey and what's her name again?
Warren.
Warren. Well, how about yourself? Oh, they got nothing to it. That's his thing. So, If you can get it back to him, Marianne Marshall, the Democrat pundit on that show, is not a friend.
I will let him know. Yeah, for sure.
Not a friend from that thing there, coming out that way. You know, I would have thought she would have went along. Oh yes, they bear responsibility too to get some bridgework done down there, that sort of thing. You know,
that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I know I mentioned it before, and I think it kind of passed with you guys. And you know, the other thing on the book, Charlie Baker's Results. Okay.
Yes.
He, in that book, the premise of the book seems to be, from the interview I saw on C-SPAN, that we shouldn't let the politics get in the way of getting things done.
Yeah.
He mentioned his parents.
I mean, that's very trite. Honestly, it's like really like.
Well, he mentioned his parents, that his mother was a Democrat and his father was a Republican, and they would debate over the dinner table, I guess, their opposite positions.
So that's how they made Charlie Baker.
But he said that in the end, the most important thing to do is to listen.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if it started to get a little heated, they would say to each other at different times, "Well, you're not listening." And I think politicians forget to do that today. Forget to listen more than talk. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a very, because then that's how you're going to find out what's the problem with your voters and the people you represent.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very good, and I have a lot of respect for Baker because, again, you're talking about the Republicans. He stood up against Trump.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
He cut his own path. And that's what the Republican Party in Massachusetts...
It probably costed him another term for governor, too.
Well, I don't know. He didn't, he chose not to run for whatever his reason was.
He chose not to run because the deal forces were going to stop him at the convention.
Yeah. He was cooked at the convention.
Well, again, as a Republican, you're going to stand up for what you believe, and if it stomps you, it stomps you. But
that's what would have happened.
He did the right thing.
Yeah,
he decided not to run.
Well, again, that you guys are saying that's the reason, but that's what the Republican Party in this state has got to deal with. This is the Republican Party of Ed Brooke. Do you remember Ed Brooke?
I certainly do.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and we're not in Massachusetts a Trumpian party. There may be some issues that Trump pushes out that we like, but you can't let because you disagree with Trump not take your own stand.
Yeah.
And again, if you think that the Republican Party in Massachusetts, it's not a Trumpian party. It is a rhino party.
Now.
If you're going to survive as a Republican in Massachusetts, you've got to be physically conservative and socially liberal.
Yeah. Well, not anymore. Apparently.
Well, here's the thing. Jeff Deal saw the numbers and figured he could ride the Trump name to the nomination,
which worked.
Right, it did work, and
but that was it.
No, exactly, and if you notice, he did nothing.
Yeah,
he did nothing. He was literally rode the bandwagon, and now what I understand is that he's trying to become a talk show host or a talk personality.
Well, again, the Trump thing, it's the albatross. You hang it around your neck, just like in one of these Sheriff Tom flyers. It's got Trump giving an award to Sheriff Tom, and it says. An extremist given an award to another extremist.
I read that. Yeah. I saw that one.
Yeah. So again, the Republicans in this state have to say, okay, we're not like traditional Republicans maybe throughout the country. We are physically conservative, but we're socially liberal, And why they didn't rush to save Doe with Doty, I have no clue.
That's why.
What ended up happening, I think, is Doty didn't have enough time. It was too long of a. He didn't have enough of a runway to keep going. If he had a couple more weeks,
he would have made the primary. Manager? Who was Doty's campaign manager? Oh, it was Holly Robichaud.
Oh, Holly
right?
Robichaud. Yes.
But they should have.
Who was Hodgson's campaign manager?
Holly Robichaud.
Okay.
The Republican Party of this state should have embraced them.
I just remember she made a whole hoopla. I agree with you. I just remember she made a whole hoopla about being called a clown on this program, and then she goes and loses a winnable race like that.
So one thing about if you look at the convention votes, Doty, if you looked at a lot of the smart Republicans, to include Tom Hodgson, they voted for Doty at the convention.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Jeff Deal.
But the children of the corn.
The people, in the fields. You got me saying it. So here's the thing. Jeff Deal was a good was a good. He carried the flag against Liz Warren.
Yeah.
Did a good job. But being a U.S. Senator is a much different job than being a governor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Jeff Deal, we all loved him for the job he did against Liz Warren. But a lot of people couldn't separate those two out, including Jeff Deal.
Hey, listen, I'm going to hold you there. We're going to take this break. Appreciate you
coming. Ward 3. I'll see you later, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
508-996-0500 is how you can get in the program. We'll also take some messages in the app chat.
Ward 3.
There's a Ward 3 city council race coming up.
So let's just quickly explain it. For those of you who might have missed it, Hugh Dunn resigned as of December 1st.
So December, I think the actual, the letter has come out. It's very Nixonian,
right?
You know?
Right.
So, but it's actually, I think, December 3rd at midnight officially. But he came on SouthCoast Tonight. He broke the story here with us that he was resigning and told us why. He's moving to Boston. He works at a big personal injury firm there. He can't do the commute anymore. He's got an apartment there. It's just better career-wise for him. And it's better for the people of Ward 3 so that they can have a more full-time representative like he used to be.
I think it was a very sound decision, unselfish decision on his part.
Yeah.
Because he could have faked it.
He could have, and he could have faked it. He got reelected unopposed last time.
Right.
He could have come down. He could have came down next year. He would have gotten reelected again.
Another couple of terms, and he would have been locked in with a pension. You guys would have been paying him for life.
Right.
So he's not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that you can't fault a man for wanting to better his life.
Right.
He took a job at a Boston law firm while he was a city councilor, with the not unknowing how big of a job it was going to be.
Yeah.
And the fact, when we've all taken new jobs.
He took it in April, by the way. So he's been doing this commute to Boston for 8 months while doing his job as a personal injury attorney in Boston.
There are certain jobs where you work so many hours and you're done.
Yeah.
That's not one of those jobs.
No,
right?
It's a hard job.
I've had a job where I was on the clock. I've had jobs where I was in management where the schedule is what the job determines. So I don't think you can fault Hugh Dunn.
And some legal jobs are different than others. So like some lawyers might be able to work in Boston and come down or whatever. And some of them, there's been lawyers in the city council before. It's
Absolutely.
just this particular job didn't allow for it. So, but there's candidates that we've heard names, we've heard some whispers about, but we can't really.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. We've heard a lot. There's some people from the last cycle.
Yes.
So 6 years ago, for a quick history lesson for people who don't know, 6 years ago, the seat was open because Henry Biscay resigned around the same time.
Special election.
And it was around for the same reasons, career choice. There was a special election. Hugh ran in that. He eventually won. He won pretty easily. But there was a field of former elected officials, former city councilors, activists and attorneys.
There was Gila Rock, who I thought was going to do better than he did. There was former city councilor
Mark Zajac. Former city councilor Kathy Daner. Jill Usach,
who was on the school committee.
Yep.
Who was endorsed by Baker.
Republican state committee woman, too.
She was endorsed
by Baker.
Right?
I remember that, yeah.
So it was a really big field.
And Beth Photo ended up winning the preliminary. Yeah.
Which was weird, right? When you looked at all the candidates, Beth was the only one without any electoral experience.
Yeah, she wasn't, and she ended up winning the preliminary, a pretty tough preliminary. And
she came in second. She won the right to lose to Hugh.
Well, yeah, the thing is just so people have a clear picture of how that race went, because again, it was 6 years ago. There was a 6-way preliminary. Hugh got 53% of the vote.
Right.
And just so that means the rest of the field got like 14 apiece, or 10 to 14 apiece, right? If that. And just so people just for disclosure, I think a lot of people know this. I ran that campaign.
I was also involved in the campaign.
You were also involved in the campaign.
Right.
So we were both involved in that campaign to help Hugh. Actually, it was kind of my introduction into local politics.
Yeah.
And
That's where I became friends with Marcus.
Exactly.
Right.
And we can thank Hugh Dunn.
So it's all Hugh Dunn's fault.
We can thank Hugh Dunn for SouthCoast Tonight.
That's right.
So we ended up then winning the preliminary by, I think it was 69-21. So he won pretty easily, ran unopposed in 2020, then ran opposed in 2017 in the fall, had Guy LaRocque as an opponent, won 73% of the vote in 2019. Then 2021, he ran unopposed again.
So he had the troubles, and then he ran unopposed anyway.
Yeah, because he went door to door. I mean, he went door to door to get signatures. He went and talked to everybody, and no one seemed to care. They seemed to like that he was doing a good job and signed the papers. He got double the amount of signatures needed to get on the ballot, so it didn't seem to be an issue. But now we've got an open seat. It tips the balance of power here in the city council in a way that I don't think most people would probably understand, because they're losing a reliably union-friendly vote.
And not only is he reliable on the union, but he, as we noticed with the Cassidy issue, most of the councilors agreed to support the Cassidy family.
Yeah.
But it required finesse. It required a knowledge base of how to push the issue forward.
Yeah.
That he had from his legal training.
And because he worked as a district representative for Congressman Keating.
Right.
So, there was an experience with working someone in the legislature, doing that work in the field, and only that, was chair of the ordinance committee because he was an attorney, so he was able to, write and amend all the city codes, which is probably one of the most important, maybe second to finance, if that. It's probably the most important committee in the council. So there's a lot to make up there.
And look, the city council has its own lawyer, which is a relatively new development if you look at the history of the council. Yeah. But having a lawyer is not the same as being a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you that because I've had lawyers all my life. Yeah. And it's a lot different asking the lawyer than it is being the lawyer.
Yeah, because ultimately you're going to have to make that vote, and so you're going to want to talk to your colleague, all that stuff. And just having someone chair the committee, and I'm sure whoever's there is going to do a fine job chairing that committee and all of that, but it's still there's a reason he chaired that committee right out of the gate, right? And there's because he's an attorney, he has the legal training, and I think that's going to be a gap that might need to be filled. I mean, we're not sure. Obviously, there's some contenders that live there. Lisa Lemieux obviously strikes me as someone that could be a serious contender for that seat.
So last time around, we really thought Lisa was going to run. Mm-hmm. She didn't end up doing it. Lisa used to be a pretty regular guest on my show.
Yeah,
on my Sunday show.
She's been a guest on my show too. Yeah,
I like Lisa.
I do too.
I don't agree with her on a lot of issues, but I recognize
agree with her on most things.
I recognize that she is smart, dedicated, and talented. Yeah. And so I think that's what you're looking for, right? Yeah. So I think Lisa Lemieux is right there in the top tier, okay, of candidates. I think you've got to look at Lisa Lemieux and say, she's a top-tier candidate.
Yeah, because...
And I know it might not be fair to start judging people, but that's what I do. So,
well, yeah, and it's just being experienced in how these things work. You look at someone who, one, is well-known in the community already, well-known in political circles especially, has the ability to raise money, will have organizational support from unions right out of the gate.
Is not intimidated by the process.
Yeah, exactly. Right? He's not intimidated by the process. He's very involved in the process.
It's a very important skill set.
Yeah.
Okay? She will have the respect of her colleagues should she be elected.
Yeah.
Okay?
Certainly.
She will understand what to do on day one.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, by the way, some people who don't turn out to be great counselors. But
you learn.
I just think that
if she jumps in, she's going to strike me as the strongest one in the race by far.
Yes.
Just based on who we know is in the field now.
Right.
So the people that ran...
But it's a developing field.
It's a developing field. So, Hugh was well known to people in these same circles, in political circles, but, because he did all that work for Congressman Keating's office, he was a New Bedford district representative, but decidedly not as well known to the broader community of Ward 3.
Right.
Now, what he did was he ran a professional campaign. He listed his credentials, and he won that race on the ground. If there's someone that could come forward that is very similar that you might not have heard of, I don't think many people have necessarily heard of John Mitchell before he ran for mayor.
I agree with that.
But ran a great campaign, was able to list his resume, and people, more people gravitated to that resume. So you might be looking at a race like that where you have someone that comes out of, I want to say nowhere, but does come out of, relative obscurity in that ward, like a Hugh Dunn.
So I think, Marcus, that what people in that ward are going to be looking for is, so the majority of the voters are the homeowning population off of Hathaway Road.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at that district, you look at that ward, you've got a lot of single-family homeowners off of Hathaway Road.
Yeah.
People who live right by the golf course, who are concerned about the golf course.
Yeah.
Right? They're concerned about the fact that the golf course is going to be turned into an economic development area, which is a good development for the city.
Yeah.
But you might not think it's a good development right near your house.
But here's the thing. That ship has sailed.
Yes.
So
now they're going to be looking for who is going to be able to guard their interests.
Yes.
Right? Who can they put on the city council to be able to look out for their property, right? Which is most people's biggest investment. How are you going to ameliorate the problem with traffic, okay? Now, look, I think a lot of the people that live right near that industrial park in the future are going to end up selling their house for 3 and 4 times what they paid for
100%.
to the people that work there, all right? But until those days come, you're going to be concerned about it. That's a very legitimate concern.
Yeah.
If you're a homeowner in those neighborhoods. So you're going to be looking for a candidate who's got the skill set to help you.
Right.
To look out for your biggest investment, your whole investment.
Yeah, your house.
Your home. So I think that particular type of candidate, if they're out there.
I would think, and there might be some people trying to phrase this issue like they're going to try to stop the park.
Right.
You can't do it.
Then that's not going to happen.
The die has been cast. It's been through all the city council property meetings and all that other stuff.
Right.
But we watch them.
Right.
You know, we watch them for fun because that's what we do.
Right.
And
imagine being us.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're moving forward with that. They're just they're tweaking the RFPs and they're getting that done. So it's going to be a matter of how is this going to get done in a way that is not only going to bring opportunity to the city, but also, like Chris had said, guard the interests of the people that live in the surrounding neighborhoods.
And I do think that you got to keep in mind, it's not completely a city project. Mass development is involved.
Yes.
So who can work with the state?
Yeah.
Who has the ability to work with the state, to work with the legislature, to make an interest? Now, again, you've got local representatives in that area, but you're going to need state money for traffic, for traffic lights. A lot of the traffic is going to be coming through Dartmouth. I think a good knowledge of Dartmouth is important.
Yeah.
So, you folks in Ward 3 are going to have to make the decision. We're going to do our best to bring as much of the information, as many of the candidates
We'll definitely have a debate
possible.
Here. When Hugh ran and it came down to, because they had some other debates that were with the whole field,
right.
And then there was a final debate, and it was here on WBSM. It was during this time slot, actually, when it was still syndicated.
Oh, that's right.
And Taylor Cormier was the host.
That's right.
Yep, and Taylor, it was Taylor, Beth, Photo, and Hugh in studio. I think it's still on YouTube. You can check it out. And they hosted the Ward 3. The final Ward 3 debate was here. So we're definitely going to have some type of debate, whether it's a preliminary and a final or just a final debate.
And probably, if it all works out, we'll have individual candidate interviews as well.
Oh, we'll definitely do that.
So the candidates can come in, as we did in a lot of these races, and make their own pitch without their opponent there.
Yeah.
We've also heard Beth Photo's maybe going to run. She's a potential candidate. She ran before. I would understand why she would look again at running for this. Again, open seats are very rare. So it wouldn't surprise me if Beth steps back in.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me if any of the other candidates who ran 6 years ago.
Right.
Look at this race.
6 years is a long time.
It's a long time.
I didn't know you 6 years ago.
That's true, you didn't.
I didn't know you.
Right.
I didn't know you 6 years ago. So
I had 2 kidneys too.
That's exactly. You had two full kidneys, right? And so 6
And
years.
I thought I only had 1 life. Turns out I have more.
Yeah, right. And so, we've learned a lot about ourselves in the last 6 years.
Yes.
A lot's changed in the last 6 years, and so maybe, I don't know if everybody's going to come out, but I assume at least some people might want to take another crack at it.
Look, I would say that once you've run, if you still want to run again, it makes a lot of sense to try.
Yeah.
Your name's been built up, and you'll learn a lot of lessons if you can learn lessons.
Some ballot recognition.
But that being said, it's going to be up to the voters of Ward 3. There are other issues in that ward, certainly. I think one of the issues, Marcus, is not in the ward, but about the city, which is the methadone clinic.
Yeah.
That's recent giving of the, And the other factor is, where does the mayor come down? Does the mayor have a candidate?
Yeah.
Right? Does John Mitchell have a candidate?
Well, we can ask him Wednesday.
We can ask him because he'll be here Wednesday.
He will be here. He'll be here with Tim, and then he's going to come on with us later.
And that doesn't mean he has a candidate now, but is he looking to back a candidate?
Yeah.
Right?
It's not something he's typically done, but he might.
He might. One of the things John Mitchell has been looking for, we know, is more votes in favor of his insurance policy changes.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity, perhaps, for him to back a candidate who backs his idea on the insurance for public employees.
Right.
Which is at a very difficult time in the council.
Yeah, and it'd be a slow build over time, but it might be one step towards doing that. Hey, let's take a break.
1420 WBSM, New Bedford's news talk station.
Yeah.
We spent all day hearing about the news. Now's your chance to react to it.
Pick up your phone and call the professionals.
Call Chris and Marcus now at 508-996-0500. Or send a text via app chat on the WBSM app. Now, back to South Coast Tonight.
Hey, welcome back. Let's go to the phones. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Well, how are you?
Good. Can we talk about Trump for a quick minute?
Sure.
Yeah, my opinion is you should go third party. You should announce that tomorrow night.
You very well may.
He might.
And you should take Tulsi Gabbard with him because she also left the party. And the two misfits can run independently and both be unfiltered. None of this baloney. No baloney. And if they run on stickers because they can't put a third party together, how the hell are you going to throw an election on stickers? Have the Democrats thought about that?
I don't know if it's be on stickers. It could be a Ross Perot type of thing.
So,
yeah,
but the ballot access is very difficult.
Yeah.
So I don't remember how Ross did it, actually.
I don't either.
What Ross did the first time is he didn't even campaign. He got 23%. The second time he campaigned like hell, and he got like 14%. Go figure.
But since Ross Perot, there's been a lot of decades of election law. Mm-hmm. And the Republicans and the Democrats...
prevent something like Ross Perot from happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they get on the ballot, but I will tell you this. It is the fear among the Republicans, and you obviously know this, that Trump would go third party. And, in fact, if you remember back when he ran the first time, there was speculation that when the Republicans were all ganging up on him, that he would split and go third party.
They tried to make him commit to not doing it on the debate stage, and he said no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he knew his power.
Yeah.
Well, deja vu all over again, Yogi Berra would say.
Right.
And I honestly believe that this separates him and DeSantis, and he doesn't have to intersect his path to the White House. DeSantis doesn't, and Biden, if he runs, they all got separate paths to the White House, and that's good. That's good because what happens is DeSantis is going to pick up the Mitch McConnells. He's going to pick up the Cheneys, Liz Cheney's, and our famous Governor Mitt Romney. Remember how we abandoned Massachusetts when he went out on a trail?
I do.
One term, and then he was gone.
Yeah, that's right. He was a total carpetbagger. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that let DeSantis have the taste of a national stage and deal with the Mitch McConnells and the infighting in the party and all the obstacles, and still try to get your message out there. Because the thing is a two-front. If DeSantis and Trump fight each other during the primary and everything, there it is right there. That's going to be it. They're both going to take from each other, and that's a divided house.
So I want to ask you a quick question, sir. I think you're from the Taunton area, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just listening to your voice and over the years, things you've said, do you remember there was a rabbi in Taunton who was a big supporter of Dick Nixon? Does that make any sense to you?
Richard Nixon?
Yeah, he was a Richard Nixon supporter. He's a rabbi from Taunton.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. I don't know if you're talking about Mayor Benjamin Friedman.
I don't know. He's a rabbi. I'm not sure. But I just remember reading about him in the history books, that one of the guys who was an outspoken supporter of Nixon was a rabbi from Taunton, Massachusetts. And the book was, pointing that out. That was pretty rare. But that he was an ardent Nixon supporter.
Well, that's what I mean. I have to catch up on that. Because, do you have any references? Is there any books out there?
You know what? I know you're around pretty frequently, so I'll look it up and figure it out. I'll talk to you next time.
Okay, thank you very much. But getting back to Trump real quickly, I honestly think that if someone like Tulsi Gabbard or the lady that's probably going to lose the governorship out west...
Kari Lake.
Yeah, but I don't like Kari Lake because she used to be all media all the time.
Right.
But Tulsi Gabbard is a real deal veteran and everything else. And the two of them together, unfiltered, for 18 months. And if Trump just hammers the swing states, I mentioned this to Barry, and he says, well, Biden's going to get 40%. I don't care if Biden gets 40%. It's the Electoral College I'm worried about.
Yeah, right.
Biden can get 20 million in California.
Clinton won the Electoral College on 37% of the vote, I think it was.
Exactly, and but I didn't have the time to put that out there. But the thing is, it's not about the percentage of the votes; it's where they're located.
Oh, exactly.
It's the razor-thin states. Now, if he pounds his rallies and just pounds them in the Midwest, and he's got Texas in his pocket, DeSantis has got Florida in his pocket, and Biden traditionally got California in the pocket for the Democrat. Okay, so they're all starting off with a serious amount of electoral votes. Go at it. I can't see any other way but a straight path to the White House is third party. And if he doesn't do it, like my family, my friends, everybody, we're not going to vote for him because it's just going to be more theater. Yeah. What we got to do, if you really believe in this country, and you got MAGA unfiltered, MAGA with its voice, and on top of Trump, you're going to learn a lot, even if he doesn't win.
Hey, thanks for the call,
sir. We'll hold you there. I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Always enjoyable.
The WBSM app is
here with Rob Gallibois. He's the Cape and Islands DA who just got elected yesterday. So he's coming in studio. Actually, I'm going to talk to him for an hour about how he was able to win that election. That was reliably Republican seat for 20 years, and what his plans are for the office. And then what do we got Wednesday?
We have Mayor Mitchell.
Yep.
On Wednesday. That should be very interesting. He just was in Europe with the wind stuff.
Oh yeah, so we'll talk to him about that.
Yeah.
So we'll ask him about that. I mean, he does the interview with Tim, so I think we do a good job of splitting the conversation between Tim and us to have a longer form because he's the mayor. He always has a lot of interesting stuff to say. So
absolutely,
we'll definitely cover a lot of ground that maybe Tim didn't cover because I think Tim does more of the constituent services type stuff.
Absolutely,
and I think we have more of the long form conversation.
It should be a very good blend.
I'm looking forward to it, and then we'll have good guests the rest of the week, and we'll always take your calls at 508-996. 0500. Anything else, Chris?
Now, Marcus, I just think that, again, as you point out, we have the podcast. If anybody missed anything, go listen to the podcast.
You can listen to the podcast. I think the app's the best way to do it. There's
Absolutely.
a little podcast button on the app. That's how I do it, too. But it's anywhere podcasts are offered. But I'd go to the app or the website.